Mountain men. America. Could you survive a cabin build? Imagine waking up on the frozen ground of 1834 Montana, wrapped in a stiff wool blanket, the cold biting at your fingers. No modern comforts, no GPS, no weather app, just raw wilderness and a storm rolling in that could end your life. You have only 12 hours to build a cabin from scratch. Every fallen log, every stone, every breath matters. As we step into the shoes of these mountain men, you'll see how resourcefulness, courage, and sheer determination turned the impossible into survival. Today, we'll explore not just history, but how you could have thrived back then. 1. The 12-hour survival challenge. Life or death in the Montana wilderness. The sun barely peeks over the snow-capped peaks of Montana. You wake to the chill, biting through your thin wool blanket, the smell of frost in the air, and the sound of silence so thick it presses against your ears. Out here in 1834, survival is measured in hours, not days. You have 12 hours, 12 short hours, to build a shelter before the first storm hits. It's not just a cabin. It's your life hanging in the balance. You glance around. Fallen trees, jagged rocks, and frozen earth surround you. Everything looks impossible. But then you remind yourself, what looks like obstacles are actually tools. That log isn't just debris, it's a wall. That rock isn't a nuisance. It's a foundation for a fireplace. Every element of the forest is raw material, waiting for your hands to shape it. Historical journals show just how ruthless the clock was. One entry from a Montana trapper reads, 12 hours from first frost to cabin wall. No more, no less. A failure meant frostbite, or worse, imagine the pressure. Today we complain if a TV show buffers. Back then, a mistake could cost your life. The first step is planning. The smartest mountain men didn't just chop and build randomly. They surveyed their site for wind protection, sunlight, and water access. A poorly placed cabin would be a death trap. With modern eyes, you might map out log lengths, pre-select rocks for the fireplace, and mentally stage every tool and timber before lifting a single axe. But remember, all your modern planning must work with what's at hand: an axe, a knife, a hatchet, some rope, and your wits. You start with a fallen pine. It's heavy, awkward, and your muscles scream in protest. But each notch you carve, each log you lift, is a small victory. And as you work, you realize something. Survival isn't just physical, it's mental. The fear of failure, the urgency of the storm, the isolation, it all weighs on you. Mountain men mastered more than tools. They mastered focus, calm under pressure, and the ability to adapt when nature refused to cooperate. Mistakes are lessons. Maybe your first log slips, or the fireplace stones wobble. You adjust, you improvise. In 1834, there was no redo button. Every decision mattered. The lesson is simple but profound. In high-pressure situations, slow down long enough to think, then act decisively. Modern brains are surprisingly good at this. Use it. By the 6th hour, walls begin to rise. You're exhausted, covered in sawdust and frost. Yet something extraordinary happens. That chaos, that raw fear, transforms into achievement. You've turned the forest into a temporary home. You've tamed a sliver of wilderness. And with the first hints of snow on the horizon, you step back and see it. 12 hours, almost gone, and you're still alive. And as you catch your breath, you realize the challenge doesn't end here. A cabin isn't just wood and stone. It's the foundation for everything that follows. To survive the storm, you'll need fire, insulation, and smart routines. And soon, you'll see that even the most independent mountain man relied on the unexpected help of others. That's the next step of our journey. How cooperation and ingenuity turned survival from a solo gamble into a sustainable way of life. 2. Tools, teamwork, and wilderness innovation. How mountain men made the impossible possible. As you step back from your half-built cabin, the cold Montana wind bites a little harder. The forest feels endless, and the clock is still ticking. Alone, even the strongest person would struggle. But this is where mountain men truly shine, not as lone heroes, but as collaborators. Imagine Cooper and Fitzgerald arriving at your site. No introductions, no fanfare, just a shared understanding. We live together, or we freeze alone. Even in the 1830s, survival wasn't about pride. It was about efficiency and trust. Each man had his role. One fells and trims logs. Another preps stones for the fireplace. A third maintains tools. Every action is deliberate, almost like a well-rehearsed dance, because mistakes can be fatal. Tools were basic, yet ingenuity turned them into game changers. An axe isn't just for chopping. It's a lever, a wedge, a shaping device. Rope and rawhide become pulleys and braces. A hatchet isn't merely a weapon. It's a precision instrument for notching logs. Even fire is an engineered system. Stones positioned to reflect heat, kindling chosen for maximum warmth. They made the forest itself bend to their will, with nothing but what they could carry. One historical account describes a trio of mountain men moving a massive log. They layered logs like rollers, used ropes to guide it, and shifted their weight in perfect rhythm. Modern viewers might think, why didn't they use machines? But their environment demanded solutions with what they had. And in that constraint lies a lesson. Necessity breeds innovation. Working together, mountain men also solved problems before they became emergencies. If a log cracked, it wasn't a disaster. It was a chance to improvise a better support. If a tool failed, a replacement could be fashioned from bark, bone, or rope. Every challenge sharpened their problem-solving skills and strengthened trust within the group. Here's a small but powerful takeaway. Collaboration multiplies survival odds. Solo effort can succeed once, but teams create resilience. Even today, we see the same principle in unexpected ways. From family emergencies to workplace crises, the human instinct to cooperate remains timeless. And as the sun dips behind the peaks, your cabin begins to resemble a home. Walls are straight, logs snug, and smoke rises from the first tentative fire. You feel something extraordinary, a mixture of pride, relief, and awe. Alone, this might have been impossible. Together, you've turned chaos into structure, fear into accomplishment. But the journey isn't over. Even the sturdiest cabin will not save you without careful attention to comfort, insulation, and mental stamina. The final piece of this survival puzzle, sheltering not just your body, but your mind, awaits in the next chapter of our journey. 3. Mental resilience and survival mastery. Lessons for today. As the snow falls softly outside your newly built cabin, you sit by the fire, feeling the warmth seep into your bones. The logs are in place, the stones stacked, but survival isn't just about walls and roofs. It's about the mind. Mountain men knew this well. After long, grueling days of chopping, hauling, and constructing, the hardest challenge often wasn't physical. It was mental. Imagine being completely alone, hours from the nearest settlement. Silence surrounds you, broken only by wind and the crackle of your fire. Fear can creep in quickly. Doubts about your skills, anxiety over the storm, loneliness pressing in. Yet those who survived mastered more than tools. They mastered themselves. They developed routines, small rituals that anchored them, maintaining their fire, arranging tools neatly, marking logs with measurements, or simply observing the sunrise as a moment of calm. Take the example of a mountain man journal I read. He described how he sang quietly to himself while stacking logs, a small act that eased his nerves and kept him focused. Modern psychology would call it mindfulness, practices we use today to manage stress. But for them, it was instinct, born from necessity. Every day, every small victory built confidence, turning anxiety into competence. The lesson is simple, yet profound. Survival isn't just about skill. It's about mindset. Facing uncertainty, learning to improvise, and staying calm under pressure are timeless skills. Even in our modern lives, We face storms of different kinds, tight deadlines, health scares, personal challenges. The tools may have changed, but the principle remains. Mental resilience amplifies our effectiveness in any situation. As the fire flickers and night settles in, you realize something remarkable. What began as a desperate challenge has become a lesson in human ingenuity, cooperation, and inner strength. The cabin stands firm, yes, but more importantly, so does your confidence. You've not only survived, you've learned how to thrive under conditions that would have broken most. And as dawn approaches, you understand this truth. The wilderness doesn't just test the body, it reveals the mind's untapped potential. The mountain men's legacy isn't just in the cabins they built, it's in the lessons they left behind for anyone willing to step into challenge with courage, creativity, and heart. As the snow settles outside your cabin, take a moment to reflect. From racing against the clock to master survival, to using simple tools and teamwork to turn wilderness into shelter, and finally, building mental resilience that transcends time. These mountain men teach us timeless lessons. Courage, creativity, and connection aren't just survival skills, they're life skills. Imagine applying the same mindset to your own challenges today. If this journey into 1834 inspired you, subscribe now for more stories that bring history alive and share your thoughts. How would you survive the wilderness?